I told you. Mom, we can't afford to take care of you anymore. That was the first thing my son Kevin said when I knocked on his door, clutching the lottery ticket in my hand like it was gold. He didn't even open the door all the way. Just cracked it enough for me to see his face and hear the edge in his voice. I blinked at him, smiling nervously. Kevin, you don't understand. I've got news, good news. He cut me off, his hand tightening on the door. No more excuses. We're already stretched thin. Madison and I agreed. You can't keep staying here. Madison's voice floated from behind him, sharper than his. She's been nothing but a burden. Let's just say it. Burden? I whispered. Kevin shifted, blocking the doorway with his body. We don't have the money. We don't have the time. You'll have to figure things out somewhere else. I clutched the ticket tighter, my knuckles white. Kevin, please, just let me in. Just for a minute. I need to talk to you. He shook his head. We've talked enough. Behind him, Madison muttered. She doesn't get it. End this already. The door pushed closer toward the frame. My heart pounded. Kevin, listen to me. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for a thing. I just wanted to. He cut me off again, his tone final. Mom, we can't afford to carry you anymore. Please don't make this harder. The door started to shut. I stepped forward, pressing my hand against it. Don't do this. I have something to share. You won't believe it. Kevin sighed, exasperated. Mom, there's nothing you can say that changes the fact we can't keep you here. I'm sorry. And with that, he slammed the door shut. The sound rattled through my bones. I stood on the porch, staring at the closed door. The ticket still crumpled in my hand. My heart was racing so fast it felt like it might burst. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because imagine winning $3 million. And the first thing your own son does is shove a door in your face and call you a burden. I looked down at the ticket, the numbers glowing in my memory. 3 million. Enough to change everything. Enough to turn the story upside down. And yet, here I was, standing outside my own child's house, hearing laughter inside as Madison's voice carried through the walls, sharp and triumphant. I knocked again, softer this time. Kevin, please, just 1 minute. No answer. I pressed my forehead to the wood, whispering, you don't even know what you're throwing away. As my hand slid down the doorframe and the ticket crinkled in my grip, the door didn't open again. No matter how many seconds I waited, no matter how hard I stared at the wood grain, it stayed shut. Inside, I could hear them moving. Madison's laugh was sharp, cutting through the walls like glass. Kevin's lower voice rumbled, sometimes with a chuckle, sometimes with irritation. I pressed my palm against the door one more time. Kevin, I whispered, just let me say one thing. Silence. Then the sound of music turning up, drowning me out. I sank down onto the porch step, the ticket clutched in my hand. The porch light flickered above me, buzzing faintly. Every time I thought about standing up, my knees refused. The screen door of the house next door creaked. Mrs. Miller stepped out, pulling her cardigan tight around her shoulders. Margaret, what are you doing out here? I wiped at my eyes quickly. Nothing. Just taking a moment. She frowned, walking closer. It's late. Why aren't you inside? Before I could answer, Madison's voice carried through the window again. Finally, she'll stop dragging us down. Kevin said something back, muffled, then laughed. Mrs. Miller's face tightened. Did they put you out? I forced a weak smile. It's temporary. She shook her head slowly. Doesn't sound temporary. I looked down at the crumpled ticket in my hand, the paper edges digging into my palm. It's complicated. Her eyes softened. You can sit with me if you need. No one should be out here alone. I shook my head. Thank you. I'll be fine. From inside, a cork popped. Glasses clinked. Madison cheered. To freedom. The sound stabbed deeper than I expected. Mrs. Miller's lips pressed into a thin line. Shameful. Absolutely shameful. She gave my arm a squeeze before retreating. I sat there a while longer, staring at the street. Cars rolled by every now and then, headlights sweeping across the lawn. A couple walked past, glancing at me curiously. I pulled my coat tighter, wishing I could disappear. Finally, I stood, the weight of the suitcase handle digging into my palm as I pulled it down the steps. The gravel crunched under the wheels. My legs felt heavy, but I forced them forward. At the end of the driveway, I looked back one last time. Through the window, I could see shadows moving, glasses raised, Kevin and Madison clinking drinks. The house I had scrubbed, painted, filled with food and laughter now sealed against me. I whispered, "You'll regret this." The night air was sharp, biting my cheeks as I walked down the street. The wheels of the suitcase squealed against the sidewalk cracks. Halfway down the block, another neighbor, Mr. Harris, stepped off his porch with his dog. "Evening, Margaret. Out late." "Huh." I forced a smile. "Just heading home." He tilted his head. "I thought this was your home." My throat closed. I tugged the suitcase harder. "Not tonight." He watched me go, his dog tugging at the leash. "Well, take care of yourself," he called after me. I nodded without looking back. By the time I reached the corner, the laughter from Kevin's house had faded. The silence that followed was heavier, pressing on my chest. A car slowed as it passed me, the driver peering curiously at the suitcase dragging behind me. I looked away, gripping the handle tighter. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message lit the screen. "Mom, please don't come back. It's better this way." I stopped under the streetlight, staring at the words until they blurred. My thumb hovered, shaking, but I didn't reply. I shoved the phone back into my pocket and kept walking. The night stretched ahead, long and empty. The only sound the steady squeak of suitcase wheels and the faint crinkle of the lottery ticket clenched in my fist as I turned toward the darker end of the street. The next morning, I walked into the downtown branch of First National Bank. My coat was still wrinkled from the night before. My suitcase parked awkwardly beside me. I must have looked like someone who had nowhere to go. But in my hand was the little slip of paper that changed everything. The guard at the door gave me a polite nod. The teller behind the counter smiled the practiced smile she gave everyone. "Good morning. How can I help you?" I leaned closer, lowering my voice. "I need to redeem this." I slid the folded ticket across the counter. Her eyes flicked down. For a moment, she didn't react. Then her eyes widened. "Ma'am, is this real?" I straightened. "Check it." She hurriedly tapped on her keyboard, her hands moving faster than her composure. The numbers flashed across her screen. Her mouth fell open. She stood, almost knocking her chair over. "One moment, please. I'll need to call the manager." I could feel the stares of people in line behind me as she rushed into the back office. A murmur spread. Minutes later, a man in a gray suit came out, holding the ticket carefully between two fingers, as if it were made of glass. "Mrs. Carter, I'm Richard, the branch manager. Congratulations." I blinked. "So it's real?" He smiled broadly. "Very real. $3 million. Pending transfer." The words seemed to echo in the marble lobby. $3 million. He gestured toward his office. "Please, step inside. We'll take care of everything." Inside, the leather chairs smelled faintly of polish. He poured me a glass of water before sitting across from me. "Now, Mrs. Carter, you have a few options. You can take a lump sum, or we can place it in a secure account, help you manage investments." I gripped the glass tightly. "Just make sure it's safe." "Fourth," he said smoothly, "and I'd strongly recommend privacy. Winners often face sudden attention." I let out a short laugh. "Too late for that." His brows rose. "What do you mean?" I shook my head. "Doesn't matter. Just set up the account." He nodded, sliding papers across the desk. "You'll need to sign here and here. Once we process this, The funds will be available within 48 hours. Picked up the pen. My hand hovered for a second, remembering Kevin's voice from the night before. We can't afford to take care of you anymore. Then I signed. The ink felt final, like carving my name into stone. Richard smiled again. Congratulations, Mrs. Carter. You're officially a millionaire. The word sat heavy on my tongue. Millionaire. When I stepped back out into the lobby, the stairs felt different. The teller who had helped me earlier beamed. Congratulations again, ma'am. I nodded stiffly, clutching the new folder they had given me, full of account details and brochures. Outside, the sunlight felt sharper, almost unreal. Cars honked in traffic. People rushed past, oblivious. None of them knew what I was carrying. My phone buzzed. A message from Jessica this time. Please don't cause drama for us. Madison and I have enough to handle without worrying about you. I stared at the screen, then slipped the phone back into my pocket without replying. For a long moment, I stood on the sidewalk, folder in hand, suitcase at my feet, watching strangers hurry past me. They had no idea that the woman standing there, ignored by her own family, had just signed her name to $3 million. And for now, I decided, no one would know. Not Kevin. Not Madison. Not anyone. I whispered to myself, they'll see soon enough. As I pulled the suitcase handle and turned toward the street corner, the folder pressed tight against my chest while the wind tugged at the edges of the papers inside. 2 nights later, I found myself walking down my old street again. I don't know why I went back. Habit. Maybe. Or hope. The foolish kind that doesn't die easily. The windows of Kevin's house glowed warm. Laughter drifted out, mixed with clinking glasses. I stopped at the edge of the driveway, suitcase handle tight in my grip. Through the open living room window, I heard Madison's voice. You have to admit, feels lighter now. No more extra grocery bills. No more prescriptions to pick up. No more reminding her to pay the gas. Kevin chuckled. Yeah, she was bleeding us dry. It's better this way. My chest tightened. Madison continued, her tone smug. You know what we should do? Finally sell her old place. It's just sitting there. We could use the cash. Kevin hesitated. It's in her name. Madison scoffed. So, she's not coming back. We'll find a way. She doesn't even need it. She can barely keep herself together. I pressed closer to the wall. My breath caught in my throat. Kevin's voice dropped, but I still caught it. You're right. We could use the money. Madison, do you think anyone would even buy it? Of course they would, she said quickly. It's property. And once it's ours, we can renovate, flip it, make real money. There was a pause. Then the sound of their glasses clinking. I backed away from the window, my heart pounding. My old house. The one I'd kept even after moving in with them. The one I couldn't bring myself to sell because every corner held a memory of their childhood. They were already plotting to strip it away. I stumbled down the driveway, clutching the folder from the bank under my coat. A voice startled me. Margaret. It was Mrs. Miller again, standing on her porch across the street. She had her arms wrapped around herself against the night air. I tried to smile. Evening. Her eyes narrowed. You're not going back in there, are you? I shook my head. No. Just checking. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. I heard them earlier. The way they talk about you, it's cruel. I swallowed hard. I raised him. I thought. She interrupted gently. Don't blame yourself. Some children forget the hands that built them up. Her words cut deep. Not because they were harsh but because they rang true. I nodded, forcing my voice steady. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. She gave me a sad smile. If you ever need help, don't knock on their door. Knock on mine. I managed a nod and turned away, the sound of Madison's laugh echoing behind me. As I walked, I pulled the folder out, the bank seal visible under the streetlight. $3 million. Enough to buy 10 houses. Enough to erase their schemes. I whispered. You'll never touch it. My breath fogging in the cold air as I clutched the folder tighter. My steps carrying me farther from their voices. The suitcase wheels rattling against the cracked sidewalk until I disappeared into the night. The next morning, I rolled my suitcase into a small building on the quieter side of town. Nothing fancy, 2 floors, peeling paint, the faint smell of detergent wafting from the laundry room near the entrance. But it was mine. The landlord, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, met me at the door. You're Margaret Carter? I nodded. She handed me a set of keys. Unit 2B. Month to month. First payment cleared this morning. Welcome. I smiled faintly. Thank you. The apartment was small, 1 bedroom. A kitchen that barely fit a table. A living room with faded carpet. But sunlight streamed through the window, warming the space. I dropped my suitcase and whispered, home. For the first time in days, the weight on my chest eased. That afternoon, I went shopping. Kettle. A set of dishes. Fresh sheets. For years, everything I owned had been tied to Kevin's house. Now, for the first time, I chose only what I wanted. Cashier, a young man with curly hair, rang up my items. Starting fresh? He asked casually. I smiled. Something like that. He handed me the bags with a grin. Good luck. Ma'am. Back at the apartment, I set the kettle on the stove, the sheets on the bed, and the dishes in the cupboard. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Every small action felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. That evening, my phone buzzed. It was Richard, the bank manager. Mrs. Carter. His voice was warm. The funds have cleared. $3 million. Securely in your account. Congratulations again. I sat down at the table. Thank you, Richard. He hesitated. If I may, you should consider hiring a financial advisor. Or even a lawyer. Money like this can be as dangerous as it is liberating. I let out a short laugh. You don't have to tell me about danger. My own family already showed me. He paused, then lowered his voice. Then let me recommend someone. A lawyer we trust. Discreet. I agreed to meet her the next day. The following afternoon, I sat across from a woman named Claire in a sleek office downtown. She wore glasses and spoke with precision. Mrs. Carter, she said, flipping open a folder. $3 million can vanish quickly if not managed wisely. Do you have any immediate plans? I shook my head. No, not yet. She leaned forward. Then let me give you this advice. Stay quiet. Don't announce it. Don't trust those who dismissed you before. Invest carefully. Keep your assets secure. And above all, control the narrative when the time comes. Her words sank in like stones. I nodded slowly. Control the narrative. Yes. She slid a business card across the desk. If you ever need representation against family, against anyone, I'll be there. I slipped the card into my purse. Thank you. That evening, I sat in my little apartment, sipping tea from my new kettle. Outside, the city buzzed, horns honking, voices drifting up through the window. I thought about Kevin and Madison, sitting in their house, maybe even still talking about selling my old place. I thought about their laughter, their smug certainty that I was gone for good. I glanced at the folder from the bank, then at the lawyer's card on the table. I whispered, not gone, just beginning. The steam curled from my cup, fogging the window slightly. As the streetlight flickered outside and the kettle clicked softly on the stove while I leaned back in my chair, my fingers still brushing the edge of the lawyer's card. It started small. A flyer taped to the laundromat wall. Community center fundraiser, roof repairs needed. I stood there with my basket of clothes, staring at the faded ink. $5,000. That's what they needed to keep the place from shutting down. $5,000 was nothing now. I tore the flyer down, folded it into my purse, and later that day, I wrote a check. Anonymous. The next morning, the director of the center was on the local news. Her eyes wet with gratitude. A generous donor saved us. We can keep our doors open. Whoever you are, thank you. I sat on my couch, tea warming my hands, a faint smile tugging at my lips. 2 weeks later. Another headline. Mystery supporter pays off elementary school lunch debt. Children on camera waved at the news crew, shouting thank you. Parents wept. That was me too. Word spread quickly. The city buzzed with talk of a hidden benefactor. Some angel in our community. The radio host gushed. At the grocery store, Mrs. Miller cornered me by the apples. Margaret, have you heard? Someone's been giving thousands to help around town. Isn't that wonderful? I forced a mild smile. Yes, wonderful. She leaned closer, whispering, I like to think it's someone ordinary. Maybe even someone like us. I just nodded, my fingers tightening on the shopping cart handle. That evening, sitting at my kitchen table with the lawyer's card beside me, I scrolled through the online comments. People speculated wildly: businessmen, retired athletes, even politicians. No one guessed the quiet woman in 2B with a kettle and one suitcase. The next week, I walked past Kevin's house again. Their TV glowed through the window, the volume loud enough to catch the anchor's voice. Anonymous donor saves animal shelter. Madison laughed sharply. What kind of idiot throws money away like that? Probably some rich old fool who doesn't know better. Kevin snorted. Yeah, whoever it is. They're wasting their life. If I had that kind of cash, I'd flip it into something useful. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, their laughter spilling into the street. Madison's voice rose again. Well, it's not your mother. That's for sure. She could barely cover her prescriptions. She's probably begging some friend for rent by now. Kevin didn't correct her. He just laughed along. My fingers dug into the folder pressed against my chest. The very next day, the local paper ran a front-page story. The city's guardian angel. Who is she? I traced the headline with my fingertip. For once, the city wasn't talking about failure or burden. They were talking about generosity. About strength. That evening, Claire the lawyer called. Mrs. Carter. I saw the article. Was that you? I hesitated, then answered softly. Yes. Her tone was firm. Then prepare yourself. Good deeds attract attention. And attention attracts questions. Your family might catch on sooner than you think. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling of my small apartment. Let them guess. They'll never believe it's me. But even as I said it, a chill crept over me. Because sooner or later, the door they slammed in my face would swing back open. Not by my knocking, but by theirs. And when it did, they wouldn't recognize the woman standing there. The kettle clicked on the stove, steam beginning to rise. As I set the newspaper down beside the lawyer's card, my hand lingering over the bold headline while the phone buzzed again on the table, and I didn't pick it up. It was only a matter of time before the cracks showed. I heard about it first from Mrs. Miller. As always, she stopped me outside the post office, clutching her grocery bag. Margaret, have you heard? Kevin's company downsized. He was one of the names on the list. My chest tightened. Are you sure? She nodded gravely. And Madison's boutique? Closed last week. Something about unpaid loans. They're telling people it's temporary. But she shook her head. That evening, curiosity dragged me down my old street again. Lights burned late in Kevin's house. But there was no laughter this time. Through the thin curtains, I saw them hunched at the kitchen table. Papers spread everywhere. I edged closer, my heart pounding. Kevin's voice carried, ragged and frustrated. I told you, I don't have a paycheck coming. I can't cover both the mortgage and the car payment. Madison snapped back. Don't put this on me. I tried to keep the boutique running. If the bank hadn't tightened up, we'd be fine. He slammed his fist against the table. We're drowning. Madison, you maxed out both credit cards. We're late on utilities. The bank keeps calling. Her voice cracked. Then what do we do? There was a pause. Then Kevin muttered. We ask around. Friends. Family. I pressed my back to the wall outside. listening. The next day, word spread fast. They visited neighbors, coworkers, even extended relatives. I overheard whispers at the grocery store. Kevin asked to borrow $5,000. Madison wanted me to co-sign a loan. They're desperate. No one said yes. By the end of the week, my phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. "Hi, Mom. We should talk. Come by sometime." The words looked harmless, ordinary, but I could almost hear Madison behind them, urging him on. I didn't reply. The next day, a call. Kevin's voice came through, forced cheerful. "Mom, how are you doing? We haven't seen you in a while." I kept my tone flat. "I'm fine." "That's good. That's really good. Listen, Madison and we've been meaning to apologize. Things got tense. We shouldn't have pushed you away." I let the silence stretch. He rushed to fill it. "Why don't you come by? Dinner? Maybe. We can talk. Like old times." I closed my eyes. Old times when they locked me out, called me a burden. Finally, I answered, "I'll think about it." The relief in his voice was obvious. "Great. That's great. Mom, we'll make it nice. Madison's cooking." After we hung up, I sat at my little kitchen table, the newspaper with its bold headline still on it. "The city's guardian angel, who is she?" Kevin had no idea that the woman he'd cast aside, the one he now came crawling back to, was the same one the city was praising. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep it secret much longer. The kettle clicked on, steam curling upward as my phone buzzed again. Another message from Kevin lighting the screen. "Please come soon. Mom, we really need you." While I stared at it, my finger hovering but not pressing reply. I hadn't stepped foot near Kevin's porch since the night they shut the door in my face. But a week later, I walked up those steps again, this time with Claire, my lawyer, at my side. Kevin opened the door quickly. Too quickly. His smile was wide, strained. "Mom, you came." Madison hovered behind him, her makeup a little too heavy, her voice syrupy. "We've been waiting for you. Dinner's ready." I stayed still, folder in hand. Claire adjusted her glasses, her presence calm but firm. Kevin's smile flickered. "Who's this?" "My lawyer," I said plainly. His face tightened. "Lawyer? Mom, why would you bring?" I held up the folder. "Because I thought it was time you saw the truth." I stepped past him into the living room. The table was set, candles lit, plates waiting. They had staged it perfectly, hoping to charm me back. I laid the folder on the table and opened it. Account statements, stamped and signed. The numbers printed clear as day. Kevin's eyes scanned them. His jaw dropped. This can't be real." Madison grabbed the papers, flipping frantically. $3 million. Where did you how? I met her eyes. "I won the lottery. Weeks ago. The same week you called me a burden and locked me out." Silence. Only the faint crackle of the candle wicks. Kevin stammered. "Mom, we didn't mean it like that. We were stressed. Things were tight. We said things we shouldn't have." Madison jumped in, her voice high-pitched. "Yes, exactly. It was the pressure. You know how it is. But we love you. We've always loved you." I closed the folder. "You love what you think I can give you." Kevin shook his head violently. No, that's not true." I stepped closer, my voice steady. "Then why was the first thing you said to me, 'We can't afford to take care of you anymore'?" His mouth opened, then closed again. He had no answer. Madison reached out, her hand trembling. "We can start over. We can be a family again. You don't have to live in that little apartment. Come home." I pulled the folder back, tucking it under my arm. "This isn't my home anymore." Kevin's voice cracked. "Mom, please. We need you." I turned toward the door. Claire followed, silent but solid at my side. Behind us, Madison's voice rose, almost a wail. "Don't walk away. You can't just leave us like this." I paused at the threshold, the cool night air spilling in. I looked back once. I gave you everything once. You threw it away. Now I give nothing. Kevin stepped forward, his hand outstretched. Wait. But the words stuck in his throat as the paper slipped from Madison's trembling fingers, scattering across the floor. Numbers flashing under the candlelight while I stepped into the night, the door still hanging open behind me. It didn't take long for word to spread that my old house was on the market. Kevin and Madison had been whispering about it for weeks, trying to figure out how to sell what didn't belong to them. But by the time they made their first call to a realtor, it was already too late. Claire had handled everything. Papers signed, funds transferred, title secured. The house was mine again, legally and unquestionably. So when Kevin and Madison showed up with a realtor on Saturday afternoon, I was already standing in the front yard, keys in my hand. The realtor blinked in surprise. Oh, Mrs. Carter. I smiled. Yes, the owner. Kevin froze. What are you doing here? I held up the folder, checking on my property. Madison stepped forward, her voice sharp. This isn't yours anymore. We were arranging the sale. Claire appeared beside me, calm as ever. Actually, it is hers. The title is in Margaret Carter's name. Here are the documents. She handed copies to the realtor, who scanned them quickly, his eyebrows shooting up. She's right. Mrs. Carter is listed as the legal owner. Gasps rippled from the small crowd that had gathered, neighbors curious about the for sale sign. Mrs. Miller was there too. Arms folded, eyes gleaming. Kevin's face reddened. You can't just swoop in and... I cut him off. Can't I? It was mine from the beginning. I just took back what you tried to steal. Madison's mouth opened, but no words came. She looked at the realtor desperately. There has to be a mistake. The realtor shook his head. No mistake. This property belongs to Mrs. Carter. Whispers spread among the neighbors. She owns it? I thought her son did. Guess not. Mrs. Miller's voice rang out clear. Told you all. Never underestimate Margaret. Kevin turned to me, his voice breaking. Mom, please. You don't need this house. Let us have it. We'll pay you back when we get on our feet. I stared at him, the memories of his words echoing. We can't afford to take care of you anymore. I stepped closer, holding the keys up for everyone to see. You told me I was baggage. You said I didn't belong. Now look who's standing outside the door. Madison's voice cracked. We were wrong. We were stressed. I cut her off. No. You were cruel. And cruel doesn't get rewarded. Kevin's shoulders sagged, his eyes wet. Don't do this. I turned to the realtor. Take the sign down. This house isn't for sale. He nodded quickly, already pulling it from the ground. The neighbors murmured, some clapping softly, others shaking their heads at Kevin and Madison. Kevin reached out one more time. Mom. But I stepped back, slipping the keys into my pocket, the folder pressed against my side. As Mrs. Miller's voice rose again behind me. She doesn't need you anymore. Kevin. While the crowd's whispers swelled around us. By Monday morning, the story had broken wide open. The local paper ran it first. From cast out to millionaire, Margaret Carter takes back what's hers. By noon, the TV crews were parked outside my old house. Reporters stood on the sidewalk, cameras rolling, their microphones bristling like spears. Neighbors lined the street, whispering, some smiling, some wide-eyed. I stepped out onto the porch, keys in hand. The flashes started instantly. Mrs. Carter, how does it feel to own this property again? Is it true you're the anonymous donor who saved the community center? What message do you have for other families abandoned by their children? I raised a hand. Steady. One question at a time. Laughter rippled through the crowd. A young reporter leaned forward, eager. What made you decide to come forward now? I spoke clearly, my voice carrying. Because for too long, people like me are forgotten. Mothers who give everything, only to be told we're a burden when the bill comes due. I wanted everyone to know we are not baggage. We are the foundation. Applause broke out from the neighbors behind the cameras. Then, from the edge of the crowd, I saw them, Kevin and Madison, pushing through, their faces pale, eyes desperate. Mom! Kevin's voice cracked. Please let us talk. Reporters spun instantly, cameras catching every word. Microphones thrust toward us. Madison tried to smile, her voice sugary sweet. We're a family. We just had misunderstandings. I turned slowly toward them, the cameras following every move. Misunderstandings? Kevin's jaw tightened. Yes, we said things we regret. But we can make it right. You don't have to do this alone. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. I stepped down one stair, meeting their eyes. When I knocked on your door, lottery ticket in hand, you slammed it shut. You told me you couldn't afford to carry me. You called me baggage. Kevin's face flushed. I didn't mean. I cut him off, my voice sharp, slicing through the air. Now I carry the keys. To this house. To my future. And you? You're the ones locked outside. Gasps erupted. Cameras clicked furiously. Madison's eyes filled with tears. Please, don't say that. Not here. Not in front of everyone. I held the keys up high, the metal glinting under the afternoon sun. You made your choice the night you shut the door in my face. This is mine now. And you don't belong here. The reporters surged. Voices overlapping. Powerful words. Mrs. Carter, do you plan to cut ties completely? Kevin tried again, his voice breaking. Mom, don't do this. But the roar of the crowd swallowed him. Questions flying. Cameras flashing. As I slipped the keys into my pocket and turned back toward the porch, the microphone still chasing my words while his voice dissolved into the noise.